festival. Y una pregunta, una para cada uno. La primera para Richard, si te parece. Si no eres un actor demasiado camaleónico, pero sí que en tus personajes resultas muy ambiguo, sobre todo en películas como American Gigolo o esta misma. ¿Estás de acuerdo con esta apreciación, que tus personajes son bastante ambiguos? Y la otra para Jordi. ¿Cuál de los directores con los que ha trabajado Richard aprecias más? De los primeros, Robert Mulligan o cualquier otro que haya empezado con Richard Brooks, o de los que empezaron con él, o de los actuales? ¿Cuáles de los directores que tú tienes más filiación también?
I don't. Actors are kind of funny creatures. The word in Hindi for actor is the same as puppet. And to some extent that's true. It's not necessarily that the director has strings on us, or a producer, or anyone else, but the character is the puppeteer for us actors. And the joy is actually finding a new character who welcomes you into their life.
Muy bien, pues los actores somos criaturas bastante especiales. En hindú, de hecho, la palabra para actor equivale a marioneta, ¿no?
It's a character who hides everything, he invents everything, and he believes his inventions. So at a certain point, I actually jettisoned asking all those questions and worked in a much more intuitive way of something that was understandable, I think, to all of us, of someone who wants to belong. Someone wants to be in. Someone wants to be essential to the world around him.
Pues bien, en el caso de este personaje y de otros personajes que yo he representado, normalmente lo que hago...
I remember there was a problem selling this movie in Spain because no one wanted to touch it, because there was this, very powerful shot here of a baby being born. And I remember Robert being told, you have to cut that scene in Spanish countries. They won't show the movie. And he refused to cut it because it's really important to the movie. So I don't even know if that film was even seen properly.
Yes, it was seen properly.
With that scene.
Doctor Day, with that scene.
Yeah.
Me dice que hay una escena preciosa, ¿no? Que es esta escena...
For 35 years. If anything, it gets deeper and deeper all the time. I was joking a bit last night in the screening that we had. There's a group that I've been chairman of for almost 25 years, the International Campaign for Tibet. And it's a lobbying group on behalf of Tibetan people in Washington. And that's where we began, and we're quite successful there, and respected, highly respected in the community. And then we opened up offices in Berlin and Amsterdam and Brussels. And I was thinking out loud last night, and I said, maybe I should start one here in Barcelona also. And everyone said, yes, yes, yes. And I said, would you help me do that? And everyone said, yes, we will help you, which made me very happy. My career being hurt in some way because of questioning the human rights situation in China and Tibet. For me, no effect. But the effect is inside of China. Chinese actors can't work with me. Chinese directors cannot work with me. So it's from the other side, not from this side.
Y me gustaría añadir una cosa, y tampoco quiero monopolizar la rueda de prensa con el tema del Tíbet, pero no solamente estos comentarios o estas declaraciones no han afectado mi carrera profesional, porque al fin y al cabo se trata de defender los derechos humanos y la situación de China y el Tíbet. No ha tenido ningún... Todavía me sorprende.
I mean, it's look, I've been an actor since I was 19 years old. I mean, that's almost 50 years now. And I'm amazed that I still am as enthusiastic as I am. And when a great script comes along, like Joseph gave me, and the opportunity to work with him on something completely unique, that there's no precedent for. I mean, what a joy, what an incredible opportunity. I'm just amazed that, and with great humility, that opportunities like this keep coming my way. It's an incredible joy.
Pues sí, soy actor desde los 19 años.
Would happen to me. So there's a biographical element because these are things that I'm dreaming about, but not necessarily things that have actually happened to me.
A ver, yo creo que, gracias por la pregunta, es una pregunta muy interesante. Creo que el elemento biográfico que hay en esta película, en lo que a mí respecta, no es tanto que haya cosas que me hayan pasado, sino que más bien hay cosas que me podrían haber pasado a mí, o que me gustaría que me pasaran a mí, o que me da pánico que me pudieran pasar a mí. O sea que, más bien el elemento biográfico en esta película son cosas que están ahí en el mundo onírico, que sueño con que podrían pasarme a mí.
In that sense, this character, Norman, is probably an exaggeration of character traits that I find inside me.
En este sentido, el personaje principal, Norman, es probablemente una exacerbación, una exageración de elementos de personalidad que encuentro en mí.
And at the same time, it's an understatement next to some of the real Normans I know.
Y a la vez es un poco quedarme corto en comparación con algunos de los Norman reales que conozco.
Yeah, look, I spoke a little bit before about the process of finding Norman. Now, Norman existed in Joseph's mind, in his imagination, and also in his experience. My process, early process, was to figure out what was the genesis of that. This creative impulse, emerged from him. And he was incredibly generous with me to share the images and precedents in history and elsewhere for this character, Norman Oppenheimer.
Pues antes ya he hablado un poquito de este...
To sneak up on this character and allow him to merge when he wanted to. But there was one moment I remember in this process where Joseph called me up. He said, "Look, would you do a tape for me over the phone? I want to time out something that we're thinking of doing in the script. I need to get a sense." And in fact, he was highly manipulating me in this moment. He was making me jump in as Norman. So we started playing over the phone, and it was the first time that I started playing with his voice, what he would sound like, what his energy was. And it was really good for both of us to start from not from ground zero, but from ground zero in terms of, well, what is he actually going to be? What is he actually going to sound like? And then we started playing, what is he going to look like? What is he going to, what are the clothes? The whole idea, we came up playing with my ears sticking out in the movie. And it was all a sense of play and experimentation. The deeper work of an actor, you should go ahead.
Bueno, pues la verdad es que ha sido un proceso bastante largo, ¿no? Que ha durado entre 8 y 9 meses y al final el personaje, Norman, emerge en el momento en que emerge, en que surge. Joseph, de hecho, jugó un poquito conmigo porque me llamó una vez por teléfono y dijo, bueno, vamos a grabarte, ¿no? Vamos a hacer un juego y todo por teléfono para ver cómo funciona. Y de hecho me estaba manipulando muchísimo, ¿no? Quería saber cómo salía ese personaje de Norman. Y fue la primera vez que yo dejé brotar su voz, dejé brotar también su energía, ¿no? Y eso fue muy positivo para los dos, tanto para Joseph como para mí. Fue casi como empezar un poquito de cero, prácticamente de cero, saber cómo va a ser este personaje.
Yeah, look, the normal, as I said before, the normal questions that an actor asks about this character became irrelevant to me. And even the questions like, is he straight? Is he gay? it became irrelevant with him.
Y las preguntas normales que uno se plantearía sobre un personaje como este, pues fueron totalmente irrelevantes, ¿no? Incluso la pregunta de si es un personaje homosexual, gay, no tenía ninguna importancia para mí.
And you know, as Joseph said, he's known Normans his whole life. I live in New York since I was 20, 21 years old. I've had Normans in my life constantly. I'm sure that there are Barcelona Normans also. Maybe some in this room right now.
Que bueno, Joseph ha conocido a cientos y cientos de...
He started walking that way. I never made a decision that he would walk that way or he would gesture that way. He took over the situation. And so much so that whatever I did somehow had a high degree of honesty to it. Because I think we both trusted Norman at that point that whatever he did would be okay.
Y bueno, en el caso de este personaje, un poquito fue como dar un salto enorme, como saltar desde un acantilado muy grande, lanzarse al vacío. Y fue Joseph el que me empujó a hacerlo. Quería que el personaje funcionara de este modo, entonces yo tuve que ser muy valiente. Quería serlo, tuve que ser valiente también con la narración y estuve muy emocionado del hecho de que Norman me hubiera impulsado a hacerlo de este modo. Cada día surgía un personaje y surgía pues el qué hacer y cómo hacerlo. La manera de andar también surgió así de manera espontánea. Un día Norman andaba de esta manera, con los gestos, gesticulando lo mismo, ¿no? Y esto hizo que se convirtiera en un personaje muy transparente y la relación con él también lo ha sido.
Aquí, buenos días, good morning. Thank you for coming. Es una pregunta para los dos, que versa un poco sobre la responsabilidad y la historia o el mensaje que narra la película. Si antes le preguntaban y salía la palabra Chaplin, si analizamos un poco décadas o cada 20 años la evolución del cine a nivel internacional, desde Chaplin, pasando por Capra, pasando por el Being Human de Peter Sellers, que para mí es una grandísima película, a Frank Abagnale en Catch Me If You Can o a Norman, siempre hay un personaje, siempre hay alguien, cada 10, 15, 20 años que destaca, que en el cine aporta un mensaje nuevo. Inmersos como estamos en un cine digital de efectos especiales, y no entraremos a hablar si es más o menos interesante, su película llega a aportar algo de luz o mucha luz dentro de un universo un poco más tenebroso a nivel comercial. ¿Hasta qué punto son responsables o entienden que hay una responsabilidad en este tipo de películas a la hora de narrar un mensaje a una sociedad que vive, bajo mi punto de vista, y es una opinión muy personal, inmersa o demasiado tecnoadicta, inmersa en un mundo demasiado efectista? Gracias.
Thank you. The trail that you just drew is a beautiful trail. And while I was listening to your question, the answer that came up in my mind is that the word message is difficult for me. But all the characters that you mentioned create empathy. And I think putting all the other things that a good movie does for an audience, empathy into a character that is a type that we all know, but have never experienced through his subjective eyes, that's the greatest thing that I take away from a movie that has a distinct character at its center. And if Norman does that, and that would make me very happy.
Gracias, muchas gracias por esta pregunta y por todo el comentario. En tu pregunta-comentario has trazado una senda que me ha parecido maravillosa. Yo te iba escuchando y pensaba, bueno, has utilizado una palabra, mensaje, que quizá es una palabra muy cargada, es muy fuerte, pero lo cierto es que en todas las referencias que has mencionado, todos estos personajes, estos momentos históricos, hay algo que para mí destaca y es el elemento de la empatía. Yo creo que hay algo que tienen los personajes especiales o de esas películas especiales que no acabas muy bien de ver qué es lo que es, pero que para mí casi lo es todo, y es ese elemento de empatía. Y yo creo que si eso se encuentra en este personaje tan vivo que es Norman, si tú lo encuentras, me siento feliz. Gracias.
Yeah, just to add to that, I started, an actor can't think too much about a character because you start to judge it. But it's more after that I started seeing the early cuts of the movie that I had different impressions of the character being outside of him than being inside of him. And Joseph and I see this guy in the movie almost exactly the same way, but we have different emphasis from time to time of who this is. And I have a tendency to be more romantic about Norman and see him as a bit of a holy idiot. And part of that tradition of holy idiots, including the Tramp, including Chaplin, and including being there with Peter Sellers, that there's something transcendent about them, wholly unique in their point of view, totally devoid of anger. Something that speaks to the race, the human race, in a very, very special way, in a pure way. And albeit they're completely flawed characters. And as Joseph keeps reminding me over and over again, Norman wants his 7% of every deal. But there is some extraordinary quality in him that overcomes all of his defeats, all of the pain, all of the humiliations, and keeps in motion. He reminds me often of the Giulietta Messina parts in early Fellini movies that way, of characters that no matter what happens, they somehow process the pain and keep in forward motion with their hearts still open. So thank you for reminding us of that lineage. Thank you.
Bueno, pues